Hello, everyone. Hello. All right. So I'm sure everyone's interested in our topics today. So I'm going to go over what is Stockroom, how to get it, give a few quick notes. We'll definitely do our demo, which I'm sure everyone is excited for. Q&A. So what is Stockroom? So Stockroom is a mobile add-on specifically for scanning stock in and out while in inFlow inventory and manufacturing to help you manage inventory, orders, and much more. So yes, this will be done on the mobile app. This is going to be separate from the regular inFlow companion app that a lot of you may be familiar with that allows you to do sales orders and purchase orders and manage your inventory through your products. This will be its own standalone mobile app that you'll be able to use for these specific scans of being able to scan things in and out, but in an extremely simple way, and being able to adjust those stock levels at that time. So, who is this really best for? I would say it's best for if you want the simple use of doing something very fast and effective. It's best for workflows where people need to take stock out very quickly while still providing, some record of what they took. What's really great about it is if you do have larger teams, you won't have to get extra users for these stockroom add-ons. Kind of on the side here, what you can see is you will be able to add different people into there, and these won't deduct from your team members that you may have that are working in your main account. So you can still keep track of who is actually doing what when they're scanning products in or scanning products out. But remember, it's going to be very simple, and it's really just down to that of taking things out and putting things into the system. So may already think, you already have an inFlow inventory or manufacturing account. But Stockroom is that paid add-on, right? So you already will have to have an account, which most of you, likely why you're here, unless you have left us and are coming back, and we would love to welcome you back. So it's a paid add-on with a separate mobile app, like I said, that focuses solely on the scanning in and out. Your team won't need to use those logins for Stockroom, so you can assign, a shared device to a location to have a person use their own phone when they're scanning that in and out. So what do you really need to be able to use Stockroom? And it's really not a lot. It really just requires you having a subscription, or if you're thinking of starting a trial, creating barcodes. Again, if your products right now don't have barcodes, we have a beautiful label designer. inFlow is very good with adding barcodes in. If you need to purchase barcodes as well, we have that option as well. But you'll be able to set that up there as long with QR codes. So all that can be set up right there in the system, and makes it really, really easy to be able to scan those items in and out through your smart phone. All right, so how do you get it? So right now, if you have a plan, you're probably very familiar with seeing this option of when you do need to add a new feature to your account, and this can be found under your accounts page once you're logged in. And you will see an option at the bottom for inFlow Stockroom. It is, whoops, sorry about that. It is $49 USD. And then you can add your stockroom right from there. You can also add locations as well to your stockroom. So these will be separate from the locations that you have already in your plan. So if you have unlimited locations, you will still need more locations for your stockroom, because this will be based off of the device. You can set up, your device in the same location if you had multiple devices, but if you need a device for a separate location, then you will need to have a separate location for that location to use a different device over there. We make it very, very easy to also get it. So when you are logged in, some of you may have already seen this, that there is a Stockroom tab at the top of your screen. When you do click into that, there will be an option to scan that QR code. When you scan that QR code, it will take you to the associated App Store or Play Store. I just posted a quick screenshot. I am running on an iPhone, so you would be able to go into the App Store there from that QR code and download it right on the screen if you need to. Same with the Play Store, it'll take you there if you need to download it directly from there. And of course, there is no fee. It is free to download the app. All right, so a few quick notes. There are no serial number tracking currently. Again, it's a very simple app that's used for just scanning in and out. So having serial numbers would probably make things a little bit more difficult. That's something I think you should have, a regular inFlow account for to do that, because it is a little bit more strenuous. It only uses the standard unit of measure as well. So again, if you purchase something in a certain conversion rate and sell in a different conversion rate, but your standard is, cans or cases, that is what is going to show up in the scan when you are doing that. So it always kind of tracks everything in the main unit of measure that you've set up in the system. Products need to be in the system already. You cannot add them during the scanning in or out. So you will have to set that up ahead of time as well for those products. And again, set up their barcodes, because again, it just comes down to the simple scanning of what Stockroom is going to be doing for you. Cannot scan in from one location and scan out to another. So, that's what stock transfers are for. So again, keep that in mind. There will be random colors that get assigned for each user on the scan list. I know some people have brought this up of, can I choose which of my team members are in this color for this department and things like that. But as of right now, we definitely will take your feedback. But as of right now, it will be randomly generated. That's something that you'll see in the demo as well. There is no confirmed limit to the amount of scan in and scan out that you can do at this time. We have tested them pretty large amounts, haven't come across that yet. But for the most part, I don't think anyone would be scanning 1,000 of an item or tens of thousands of an item. That would be pretty tiresome, and a lot of tapping on the fingers. Protect your fingers.
I mean, if you are doing that too, you can always hit like end on that one specific one and then start scanning again. So that way, keep it a little more
Exactly.
organized too, right?
That's right. That's right. Because it would be pretty tiresome to go back, whoever has to audit that list afterwards. And Stockroom scans reports is under your audit log list. So when you do go into reports and go under the audit log, you will see that there is a specific place that you can run a report on all your Stockroom scans, which I will also touch on as well when we get to the demo, which is going to happen right now here. So when you download the Stockroom app, this is the first screen that you will be met with. I'm going to go under Stockroom, which will be at the top here. That is the QR code if I did need to download it. And then here's where I'm going to actually set up my Stockroom device. So if I go under device name, I'm going to call this my scanner. And I'm going to set this to my main warehouse. And I will add that device. And once I do that,
Sorry, I'm just going to jump in there. So yeah, so where he picked main warehouse there, that's where it's actually picking from the inFlow locations that you already have set up and everything like that. So if you had multiple, you could pick from whichever one you're doing. But that then is registering that this device is tied to that location, which is what kind of Kiri was explaining about with the add-ons. If you needed other locations, so if you needed to then set up another device at a different location, that's where that would kind of come into play. So
exactly. Thank you, Phil. You also can email the login. So again, if you were an admin and you were on the computer and that person who had the device wasn't available in front of you, you could email them the link that will give them a QR code so they can set that up over there remotely if you needed to as well. So I'm going to go over to the phone here now, and I'm going to hit scan to log in. And you can see that it does pop up my camera there right away. And I'm just going to quickly scan that QR code. And you can see just like how quickly that saved there. I'm just going to swipe that away. I have done this a bunch of times, so my particular device gets a little cranky that I have tried setting this up probably over 50 times while testing. So you can see on the computer side now that is now active and saved. I can hit that there now. And on the phone now, it is asking me, who is actually going to be doing these scans. Oh, Where did my screen go there? It jumped over here.
Wants to
Okay.
be front and center.
Yeah, I realize. Uh, so let's add some users. So I'm going to add Phil over here and hit done.
I think Sterling was saying Max Verstappen is the one who's the
Yes.
user.
Good call of catching that. Oh, did I lose my network here? Hold on one sec. There we go. We got Phil on there, and I'm going to tap Phil's name again, and that will also pull up the screen again here, where I can also add someone else. We'll add another winner like Max Verstappen this weekend in Japan, and we'll add Adriana. And finally, I'll tap her name there again, and I will also add myself. Great. So when you touch that profile name, you can see that there are now 3 of us added on there as scanners. And that was what I was kind of pointing out with the 3 different colors that come up on screen, right? It chose them out of random. Phil is yellow, orangish, I'm green, and Adrienne is the brown color there. So, it does try to help put some type of color cue to whoever will be using it. The next time Phil comes in here, you can look for the yellow user, and that might be a quick way to find that a little bit quicker for him.
Cool. And also, sorry, just going to jump in quick here.
Mm-hmm.
This is also what you were talking about, too, how this doesn't use your team members. So, as you can see, Kiri's inFlow account is still on the left-hand side there, whatever. He hasn't done anything with his team. He hasn't had to purchase more users or anything like that. On the device itself, you can set up as many different users who are going to be using it to scan in and scan out. And again, you can see there was also no verification or anything. It's literally just putting in like a name for somebody. So it's, you can have as many as you need. Again, that's why we kind of say if it is in like a warehouse and it's like a shared device, they can scan the stuff they need, put it down, and then the next person can just pick it up and pick their name and then continue scanning or whatever, something like that. But yeah, just that way keep them separate.
Yeah, exactly. You can also, if you did need to add other users on there, and again, you didn't have the device in front of you, but maybe you just hired some folks and wanted to add them to the team, you can also come onto the computer here and add them as a Stockroom user from the device as well. And they'll also pop up on there, which also makes things a lot easier. So let's do some scans. So I'm going to choose a person. I'm actually going to use you, Phil, to do these scans in. We're not
Cool.
going to scan Max right now since he doesn't have a barcode, but I think you're a fan of bubbly. I'm not entirely sure, but
I am.
yeah. I'm not sure if you like the lime. I'm a big fan of the lime, but let's scan in some bubbly lime here. So I'm going to scan in, and just keep in mind, I have already added these barcodes into my system, which is why it will recognize it. So now if I just populate that in front of the camera, you can see right away that it picked up that bubbly lime, right? What I really do love about Stockroom is even as I'm moving it around, you can see that the camera is readjusting to where the barcode is and picking it up without actually having to move your device around. So if you have it in some type of kind of device like a stand that I have it on right now, it makes that super simple. But I will have to actually tap this scan in option to bring them in. And as you can see, I have bubbly tracked as cans. So I am going to scan in 10 of those right there. And I will put that aside. And you know what? Phil is someone who gets really hydrated all the time. Usually has a giant water bottle. So I'm going to also bring in a water bottle here and scan in that as well. And a couple bottles for him. I'll also bring in 10. And just so things are done in time, I also have a little timer here that helps, us manage time. And what's cool about this one is that I was able to scan in the QR code, which you can see it already picking that up. And that's what I have recorded in the system as my barcode. So even though I have a barcode on here, it knows that it is going to target the QR code that is recorded in inFlow, which is, again, I think a really awesome feature and shows how really well this app really works. So let's bring in 3 of those timers as well at the same time. So I'll swipe up here, and it does give you a screen here. So if you did make a mistake or anything, you could definitely cancel the scan here, or add a remark. I'm going to say stay hydrated. And I'm going to hit done. All right.
So speaking of the bubblies, I do like the lime one. I tried their watermelon one the other day, and I was very disappointed. I was
Ooh,
surprised.
I know I'm not a huge watermelon fan either, but I'll always give something a try. I do like their peach though. Their peach is another flavor of mine that I like. So we got a scan in. We could also see that that was a green screen when that did pop up. Um, so when you switch from scan in to scan out, you will see the outside there also change in color to also give you another identifier of what color of what you're doing. Scan out and scan in. In this case, I'm going to have Adriana scan out one of my daughter's favorite books right now, which is this Bluey Easter book that she has me reading all the time. And we're going to scan a couple of these out of the system. Let's say just 5 of them. Keep it simple. You can see that picked up right away. And we'll leave a remark. Say more for Nye. And we'll throw that in there. All right, and you got a scan out there. And that is really it on that side there of doing all the scanning. So let's we'll get off the phone now because we don't actually need that right now anymore. And let's go back into the computer here. And let's look at what we did. So if you hit the little box on the side for your inventory and we go under stockroom scans, we now have an option for a stockroom scan of 2 here. This was a scan by Phil done in our main warehouse, and these were scanned in. And it does follow the same kind of color scheme here. So we can see what our previous initial quantity was of that lime. So there was 50 of that, 130 of the timers. And with our scan, we increased it by 10, 10, and 3, leaving us with our final amount over here. If I ever needed to make any adjustments, I can definitely come in here and make those adjustments and hit either complete at the top. So say maybe it was meant to be 2, I can make that adjustment there. I can also come on here and use an actual traditional scanner too, and also add more stock to this stockroom scan or scan to add. So again, if somebody again needed to do some auditing and any adjustments to it afterwards, you can still have control of having your inventory account to do some of that adjustments with you on this side as well. So, this might be great for those who are admins and need their team to be able to do things in the system. But then you also have this if you needed to attach a sublocation within your main warehouse or your main location or the location that you're scanning in and out of. You also have that ability as well to do that there. If we take a look at our scan out, very similar. We kind of follow up like how we do it on stock adjustments. So the same color schemes are following up there. So in this case, we took 5 of those books out, which you can see there. It was done by Adriana in the same location, which left us with a total of 15 right there. But say I didn't want to, go into each of these, a month has gone by, we've scanned all these things in and out, and we want to do a little bit more auditing. That's when I can definitely come into here, into my audit logs, go down to stockroom scans, and I can also generate this in a report, which most of you are probably familiar with. You can print these out as PDF, as CSV, and all those details as well. And you can see that it will show up those same amounts there. It'll even bring up the cost of what you have these products set to as well, and shows the amount of what was done. It's also great that you can actually filter it by those stockroom scan users. So again, if it is something that is being done by a specific user and not a team member, this makes it again really easy to be able to filter based off of that. So I can see the full scans here by Phil for his. And I can set any dates, location if I did have more than one location, and of course have filters to either add a stockroom scan number if I knew the specific one to look it up there, or even categories of the product and filter it by that as well.
Awesome.
So yeah, that essentially brings us to the end of that demo.
We did have a few
Yeah,
questions
it's
that we
making a
can
good
go
time.
over. So Sterling, I know Adrienne is starting to, or has been answering, sorry, also in the chat as well. So, but we'll go over them here too. I know Sterling had said, if I have 3 locations, it would be the 49 plus 15, which the extra locations, yes, are supposed to be $5. You can correct me if I'm wrong, Kiri. I may have it wrong. The 49 includes 1 location, so I think if you had 3 it'd only be plus 10, I think, because you'd only have to add 2 other locations if you wanted one at each location. But
Correct. Yeah, you're
cool.
right on that. Yeah, that is right.
Nice. And then I do see Roger was also asking, can this be scanned to a customer? And he gave a little more context that customers are a job we work on all the time and need to be able to allocate for the jobs.
So say that one more time.
That can it be scanned to a customer? So I think he's using customers as like a job site or anything like that
Right.
in this. So.
Unless you were to make your locations the name of your customers, sadly, you wouldn't be able to do that. Because again, it is only geared to the location that you're in. It is a very, the whole reasoning for it is that it is supposed to be extremely simple. I know inFlow has so many ways that you can manipulate it to your liking. Stockroom scans are going to be very simple to the sense of in and out of that main location, but you can definitely find your ways around it. If you are able to pivot your location names based off of the project or the customer, you could essentially do that if you store everything underneath a customer and say that's what you're storing for them. I know that could work for 3PLs or asset tracking. So there's a way around it, but it may just take a little bit of maneuvering if you are doing it differently right now.
Yeah, I think just also then the important kind of thing to touch on then is that these are not sales orders or anything, so they're not adjusting out in that sense. And again, like when you're adjusting in, it's not doing it as like a purchase order. I think I saw Craig was saying that it's basically an adjustment, adding or removing inventory, which yes, you're 100% correct in that way. So
Yeah.
it's not tracking it in those other ways, kinds of thing. And again, if you are using like a sales order as like a job site or anything like that, then that's probably going to work definitely better. Like something simple like this may not be the best use case for that kind of a situation, because you probably want more tracking, seeing where it was going or if it needs to come back or anything like
Right.
that kind of thing. This just being kind of like a more simple thing for again, I guess like any people that need very simple solutions of they just want to take the stock out and they want to put the stock back in to see that it's there and keep that final number kind of thing.
Exactly.
I see Dan just asked, is there a way to change the default setting to when you open the Stockroom app be scanning in versus out, since we mostly only scan items in?
As of right now, no, but I think that is great feedback if we could make it so that you could choose a default. But yeah, as of right now, it does, I think, always start off with scan out. But yeah, great feedback. I'm actually just trying to see so from what I see is like if you don't close the app, the last one that you were left on, if it was the same user, should go back to the scan in feature. So after you do scan in and say you put the phone down and then go back in, if you're still scanning in, it should, and the user hasn't changed or anything like that, it should stay on scan in. Actually, from what I'm seeing, just by testing it now, if you actually do change the user, but I think once the screen does lock, it resets it.
Cool. I know Roger was asking then when we'll be able to scan customer jobs we have. I mean, I think depending on it's not the exact same kind of like a setup or UI because it is a lot more complicated. But with our existing inFlow Cloud mobile app, you can go in, you can add all the different items to like the different orders and stuff like that, or purchase orders. And then you can also, there's a separate section for picking sales orders, so you can then scan them as you've picked them, showing that they've gone out and everything like that. So you definitely want to be looking at the actual inFlow Cloud inventory app, not the Stockroom one.
Right.
We also had a question from Mindy, much higher up. She had asked for orders using multiple boxes. With the scanner, can you choose which box you pack the item in? So I had mentioned that can't be done directly in the Stockroom app, but Kiri, I know we went over earlier, actually not in this demo, earlier today, that you can allocate sublocations to the Stockroom scan. So that might work as a workaround. Kiri, I don't know if you want to maybe demo that portion.
Yeah. Let me quickly go back in here. And maybe just so you're aware. So if, say, I did need to, this was in my main location, but this wanted to go into somewhere a little bit more specific, I could technically come in here and say this is box A and create that here. Maybe even a better choice would be to use the one with multiple. This was a scan out. So in a scan out option, it's probably not the best, but I guess in a scan in portion, if I needed to scan in and say this was going into box 1, and this one is going into box 2, you could complete that there. But if you're removing, right, and there was no sublocation assigned beforehand of the quantity within that location, you could run into that negative issue because technically there was nothing in that sublocation within that warehouse. So that's just something, again, to keep in mind. But if you do have your sublocations already built out, you should, and things are left in that area, you should definitely be able to say something came out of that location. But no issues if you were saying to put it in.
Awesome. So Ariel had asked, so is this something to adjust stock without adjusting overall monies of the product?
Correct. And that's, I think, something else just to be aware of. So if you are deducting something at a cost, in the books, it will say that you are removing that out at that cost of what it currently was at that time. So FIFO, moving average, just be aware of your costing method when you are utilizing this.
Cool. But if they were, say, if you had just created products, I guess, and were scanning in or anything, because it's not a purchase order, you're not setting a price or anything like that. Like, it's not setting a cost for you.
Right.
So again, in some situations, this may be something where you're not necessarily worrying about cost, and so you're just literally worried about that kind of end goal number. So you're adding it in, taking it out, and that's all you're really tracking.
That's right.
We also had Farhad had asked for using a unit like box or master case or PCs will be same way to scan the barcode. I think that's asking, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, Farhad, I guess like if you had different units, if you could scan different barcodes for them, like if you were using different units of measure, which I know you were touching on earlier, that you can, it only uses the standard unit of measure,
Correct.
right?
Correct.
So.
Exactly. So it would have to be in based off standard if you needed to know foreign. I know you probably are familiar with using conversions. You may sell or buy it in a different type of unit of measure, but Stockroom right now is only utilizing this standard unit right here at the time. So you would likely have to create either a duplicate of that product with a different way of tracking that. You can put multiple barcodes, of course, but it still would be tied to the same product and the same standard unit.
Awesome. And then Gamal had also asked, in certain cases where a product does not have a barcode, is it possible to create one using the system?
Through Stockroom, you can't do it through there, but definitely you'll be able to create it directly in inFlow through the web app or through the companion app. You can also take a picture there and add a barcode at that time by scanning it in directly through that companion app if you needed to.
Exactly. Yeah. So basically, the stockroom side of the things is kind of just like a very stripped down version, very simple and easy. Again, you're not adding the products or changing them there, just scanning them in and out. But everything else then you would manage on the inflow side of things, where you can set them up, create the products, add the barcodes, and inflow does have a built-in feature where it can generate barcodes for you if needed. So you can definitely explore that as well.
That's right. Labels, internal barcodes, and if you, I know someone was also talking about what type of barcodes, but you can also purchase GS1 licensed barcodes as well, which is also acceptable.
Yeah, and I think we support pretty much all the standard kind of like barcodes. Like I know there's like 128 and
Right.
I'm forgetting EAN and UPC and all those kinds of things. So those are all supported, sorry, by the scanning and everything like that. You can also enter in just like literally your own text if you want, and it will be able to read it in that barcode format as long as your barcode is encoded that way. But yeah.
And if QR codes is also something you're interested in, remember you can also use QR codes if you don't want to use a traditional barcode. Awesome.
We use modems with multiple barcodes. Are you able to scan each one in the product, or would you have to type in the other information and only scan one barcode?
So that one might be a little different of maybe how you're using barcodes traditionally. You can set up multiple barcodes for a product, but that would probably get pretty extenuous if you had to add all of those in there. It almost sounds like maybe you were interested more in serial numbers of being able to track quantity based off of that UPC code, and that might be something that maybe you want to explore as well.
Yeah, and so yeah, so Stockroom in that sense would not be good because it doesn't do the serials, but inFlow regular side of that can definitely handle serials if that's what you were referring to. Cool. Ariel had asked, is it a one-time cost or a yearly? And so it's an add-on onto your regular subscription. So it would either be like part of your monthly plan, or you can choose to pay annually as well. So then it would be added to that as well. Sorry, Farhad had asked, is it possible to add an item in stock with barcode and without barcode? Also, can we sell an item with barcode or without barcode?
Yeah, that sounds like you definitely can add a product in there. You're not obligated to add a barcode to it if you are going to sell it or create it. It is a feature that you have definitely control over if you want a barcode to be on there. But just know for Stockroom, it will need a barcode if you do want to scan it in and out through the add-on.
Cool. I mean, I guess the only thing in terms of Stockroom with that, if you don't have barcodes on your product, you can't add them manually from the app, so it does have to have something to scan. You could modify through like the web app here, like Kiri had shown. Also, I guess since you're on the product, I don't know if you might also want to show that, assuming you're already familiar with inFlow, under the movement history, you will be able to see those stockroom scans as well, right. And they do show up as like a separate thing rather than like a adjustment or a sales or a purchase or anything like that. So it does have its own stockroom scan that will show up on there, and you can see those then same like adjustments as well too.
You got it. Good call.
And yeah, sorry, I see Bessarath had saying that inFlow wasn't working with the UPC-A style, and I guess that it won't remove the check digit from the barcodes. Something we would definitely have to look into. I'm not 100% positive with all of the different ones. So if you don't mind sending an email, I know we've definitely talked before in the past, just send an email in at support@inflowinventory.com and I can take a look at that. And again, if we don't support it, I can put it in as a feature request, and hopefully it's something that we can work on including in the future.
Yeah, but if anyone else does have any more follow-up questions after this, feel free to reach out to your customer success manager. You can also reach out to the support team, and we'd love to fill you in more about Stockroom if you have any more questions. But thank you for joining us today.
Yeah, no, for sure. And yeah, we always love the feedback as well too. So support at inflowinventory.com. And yeah, we will see everyone again real soon. All right. Thanks, everyone.
Take care, everyone. Thank you.